5:15 in the morning, and it is windy as hell out here. It's going to be tough to season, but it'll be okay. Got a really big brisket today. In the cryo, it wasn't that much bigger than I'm used to cooking, but when I took the point and the flat out, it was a lot bigger. So we're throwing it on just a little bit earlier. Nothing too crazy, 30 minutes earlier. It's sprinkling outside too, so hopefully the weather doesn't get too bad, but it is currently sprinkling. And for the flat, we're going to do the same exact thing. That base first. Southern Belle on top. And then Southern Hospitality on top. We're down in Laredo today. We're in deep South Texas, pretty close to the border. But we're not going to change anything that we're doing because we don't feel the need to. We're hoping that the judges like good barbecue, and I think that we'll be able to give them that today. So we'll just kind of see how it turns out. Pretty big event. There's definitely I think there's over 75 teams. So we obviously are going to have to make sure that we're cooking really good this weekend, but should be okay. We're just going to let the smoker get up to temp, and then we'll throw this on. I have a little fat seam right there down the middle of the brisket that, I won't lie to you, doesn't look that great, but it should be okay. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil to the top of this so we can hit it with some 16 mesh right away. And that looks good to me. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put Southern Belle on the on the back side of our ribs. We already put that base on last night, same as always. It's been sitting on overnight. Coming over top with Southern Hospitality. Some oil, just so we don't lose seasoning here when we flip. Now over top, we're gonna do the same exact thing. Southern Belle. I respect all you guys that season and do everything outside because it is hard, a lot harder than I remember it, to be honest. Especially when you start going inside and prepping, it is hard. All right, let that sweat in. We'll be ready to rock in just a few minutes. Same thing with our pork. Southern Belle over top. Gonna season all sides this weekend. Ribs on the smoker. That's what I love hearing. Now I'm gonna go over top with my black pepper. It's been kind of hard to season outside today, so I figured doing it in here might be a little bit easier. Kind of like down in the drum where there's not as much wind. Oh, it's working pretty good. There we go. Now I'm gonna put the pork butt on the side that currently does not have the water pan. I haven't put on the monies yet. Ooh, that smoke's crazy. I haven't put on the monies yet. I'll put those here in 30 minutes on the side with the water pan. And while we're at it, we're gonna go ahead and rotate our brisket again. I think that's really wide. Rotate. We're gonna go ahead and flip this. I feel like that's really wide, huh? So we're gonna go ahead and make an adjustment here. We're gonna trim this right now. Just gonna cut off a little bit at a time here. Round it out a little bit. I feel like it can come over here a little bit too. Hit on the side with some seasoning, just kind of picks up that bare spot. We still are we're still barely into this cook, so we should be good. It's been right at an hour on our ribs, and you can see that we're definitely getting some good color, but they're getting a little dry on me. And one of the things that I'm personally noticing is I'm seeing a lot of that fat pop through. So I actually just want to flip it over real quick and see the back side. Yeah, I'm actually gonna flip these today. I don't always flip, but today, because I'm seeing that fat kind of pop through, I just want to make sure that I get good render on both sides of these ribs. Just want to make sure that they're cooked really nice. I don't mind a darker color today. We're down in South Texas, and I was thinking about going a little bit darker anyway. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to let these go for 30 minutes, and we're going to take a look at the front side again. We don't want them to get as dark as the back side is. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's completely okay that the back side looks like this. Nothing's burnt or anything. Everything is just cooking. So I want to make sure that I get some caramelization on the top of these ribs, and then we can go ahead and wrap them. So it's been right at an hour, typically around an hour, hour and a half. We are wrapping these, so we'll just get a good color on that top side, and then we'll be good. Okay, it's a little bit after 8, and we've had our brisket on since 5:30 a.m. We did start it earlier today because this is a bigger brisket than normal. So you can see that every time that we're making burnt ends, when we're cooking our point, we're trying to make sure that we have a really good color on it. I want these burnt ends to look a little bit redder than my actual brisket itself. I just think it has a nice contrast of color, and I think it looks really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead, and I like to fold and then just pick one side up. And now we have a little pocket that we can pour some liquid in. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit of liquid into our foil here. And I need to make sure that I keep plenty for the actual flat itself. So as long as I see it, let me see if I can show you. As long as I can see it under the brisket, whenever I lay it flat, you can kind of see it right there, hopefully. As long as I lay this flat, like right now in my hand it's flat, and I can see liquid under, I'm completely good. So for this is a lot more savory than the actual flat itself. It's going to be saltier naturally, so I don't want to overdo it. I do want to make sure that I can get a nice flavor on our burnt ends. Back onto the smoker. Now we're going to rotate. And just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and rotate these ribs right now. So if you guys look real quick, you'll see that some of that fat right there is actually starting to bubble. And that's exactly what I'm wanting on the front side as well. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this every 5 or so minutes. It's completely fine with me if I open this drum and I make sure that I'm keeping a good color on the top side of these ribs. Now, I am not going to lie to you guys. I'm going for a darker rib today. Like I told you guys, we're down south. We're actually pretty close to the border of Mexico. And I want to go a little bit darker. That's my goal. I usually like to keep them real candy red, but not today. Well, I still want them to be red, but I want them to be a darker red. So, again, we're just going to continue looking. Looks good. Not worried about anything there. And these are just things that I'm adjusting on the fly. I'm not promising that this is going to work, but I do want a little bit darker of a rib. Whenever I'm in the Houston area or Central Texas, I want a little bit more of a red rib. But again, we'll see how this turns out in the end. Hopefully, I'm making a good decision. So just about to be done injecting our birds. Today we are going for something a little more savory. I'm going to put a full tube over here in the leg and the thigh combined. I put a tube in each breast. And then I'm just going to hit a few shots into the wings. I don't think they ever really grab these, to be honest. But I just like to make everything look, plumped up. All right, there we go. We're done. So what we can do now, can you grab that? Oh shit. Alright, it's been 30 extra minutes since the last time that we checked them. A little bit longer, huh? Alright, ribs have been in the wrap for about an hour or so. Backside looks good, but it's not quite where I want it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip these ribs over, and I'm going to let the top side just sit in this au jus. And I'm going to do this for two reasons. Number one, it kind of lets me look at the back. I can see when these bones are about to pop out, which right here, they're looking good. On this rack, they're not quite looking as good. Sorry, I didn't realize if you couldn't see that or not, but I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what's going on. Obviously, I'm using a thermometer, but this can tell you a lot as well. So let's just go ahead and put these back on. We'll check them in another 20 minutes or so.
Money muscle done. Alright, I only do one money muscle.
I do.
Hey!
I like to sauce mine.
Just did another one off camera. That's what it looks like.
Get this in.
This brisket looks amazing. Okay, we'll go cook it now. What in the world? My brisket looks like a pickle.
Oh!
I like to make a huge lay down of mushrooms and then put all my muscles on it.
Oh, let's just say I'll go look at my griddle and see how that chicken is.
Light dusting. All right, best of luck. The what?
The bag just slipped.
We got 5 minutes.
Let's see if we can clean up the box.
We just turned in chicken, so now we're gonna go ahead and look at our brisket. It's about time where it should be done, but we want to probe it and make sure it's feeling good. Oh yeah, that might be done.
I think it needs more.
You think it needs more? It feels soft, but not quite where I want it, so we're gonna put it back on the smoker for 30 minutes and then see where it's at. Okay, we got our ribs. Rib au jus tastes delicious. We're gonna go ahead and spoon it over top. I actually really like the dark color on them today. I think they look really good, actually. I was going for that deeper dark. I feel like for whatever reason that's gonna be better down here. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I like the way it looks. All right, so we're gonna go back over to the smoker with these. We're gonna let this au jus set a little bit. Oh, those look good, dude. I'm real happy with those. Yeah. Dude, these look fire today. Hope they hit. Cause they look good. My opinion, take this out, take these two out. Man, those might look better, dude.
Honestly, they do.
They do look better. Just turned in ribs. We're gonna take a look one more time at brisket. Hopefully it's done so we can get it in the camera and rest it. All right, brisket's looking and feeling pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off. One of the things that we wanna do is we wanna drain this au jus, and we're gonna use that here in just a little bit to make this brisket taste delicious. All right, so this weekend we accidentally forgot our boning knives, the ones I used to trim with, the Victorinox. So I'm gonna try and see if I could use this to get my pork done. Oh, pork feels really nice. Let me pull this fat off. All right, so there's a lot of bacon today. There's a lot of bacon today. Nice texture. Feels good. Looks good so far. So let's go ahead and scrape all this fat off. Try not to take away too much of that beautiful meat. A lot of people out here today. A lot of really good cooks out here today. I've heard a lot of people say that the valley, or for those of you guys that don't know what we refer to the valley as, South Texas, like deep South Texas, has some of the best cooks. So a lot of those guys are out here today. So I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited to see how we stack up. You know, obviously, the goal every single time we come out is to win, but more than anything, hopefully we learn something, and you know, hopefully we just have fun. It's been a little bit of a hectic day today, I'm not gonna lie. It's been raining all day, and we've just been trying to make sure that everything goes good. And of course, it's not always easy, man. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. So it's not always easy. Sometimes things just don't go our way, but that's completely all right. You gotta adapt and overcome everything in life, and we're just happy to be out here cooking barbecue. I'm gonna be honest with you. Happy to be cooking barbecue. This is a little dry, I could tell right off the bat, so I'm not even gonna really play with that. There's always a few muscles in here, from experience at least, that I find a little dry. And like this, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, this is not dry. This is very tender and very moist. We'll taste it in a little bit, but I do want to just kind of start getting my stuff pulled and see what I think I can use. So like I was saying a second ago, there's always, like, here's a tube right here. The tube looks really good. Looks like it's going to be moist, but we'll find out here in just a second. So there's always some pieces on this pork butt, from what I found, that are a little dry even if you cook it perfectly. There's just different, you know, it's all pork butt, but there's different, like, parts of the muscle in there running between that fat. So this also feels good. It doesn't look dry. Hopefully you guys can see it again in the camera. It's got plenty of moisture, and those are some tubes right there as well. So again, we want to get that fat out of the way. We want to make lice nong. I was going to say lice nong, but we want to make nice long strands for the box, for everything to look good. So again, here's another piece. Looks good. It's coming apart good. I'm going to actually taste this. It tastes really good. I really like that. Has a great pork flavor. Right, see right here? You can see that's a little dry. That's a little dry right there. So I'm not even going to mess with it. Over here, I'm going to kind of pull. This is the money muscle right here. This is the actual money muscle right here. I'm not worried about that money muscle. I'm going to turn in the other monies that I cooked. But like right here, another nice, moist, tender piece. You can tell it's a little bit darker, so it comes just apart really, really easily. It looks awesome. So that piece of bark actually right there, I felt it last second. It does have a little texture to it. Not sure I want that, but it has great flavor, so I'm probably going to just try and shred it and mix it in. Either way, let's keep messing with this pork. This is the most tedious part to me of the whole competition, just making sure that you're taking your time on the pork. I'm obviously not the best pork cook in the world, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but you know, I definitely think we cook pretty good pork, and hopefully you guys can learn at least one thing what we're doing, and it helps you out. So this is actually the money mussel right here, but if you shred it up, it actually has some really good pieces in here. Here's tubes, here's bacon. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna put the bacon right here to the right. And I'm just gonna let them sit a little bit separately so I can do my best to try and make some really good pork. So I'm gonna pour au jus all in here, and my goal is to basically drown it. This pork itself has basically been seasoned on the outside, it's been injected, but there's not seasoning on the inside of the meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and season here with some of our hospitality. Here's our little tubes. There's some bacon, and there's some pulled from the muscle, and just various things within. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and close this up, and this is going back on the smoker. I like them both, bro. Fire, for real.
Appreciate it.
Fire. The camera's rolling. Y'all are gonna be on the next video, so y'all can say hi again. All right, brisket.